Hey, what is up, guys? This is a match between me on the right playing Diva Heroes and my friend on the left playing Chaos Fairies. We are both very new to these decks, so we're still getting used to them. I play Hero Frogs, so I'm pretty used to Miracle Fusion, and I've also played Diva Hero Zombies, so I am used to Diva and the explosive plays you can do with it, but I'm still getting used to things. And I haven't had too much experience playing as a fairy deck, and it's a tough deck to play against because there's a lot of things to keep track of. They have a lot of hand traps in the form of Honest, Herald of Orange Light, and Battle Fader, so there's like a lot of things you have to keep in mind. You also have to be cognizant of them having 4 fairies in the grave, or being able to get 4 fairies in the grave, because if they have a recruiter, they can just crash and instantly put 4 in the grave. But yeah, it's just takes a lot of getting used to. So I try to Caius here, and he goes for the Orange Light. That's probably, you know, that's some of the best value you're going to get out of that card, I think. So it makes sense that he does that. He swings in with the Trooper. Do I have a Deep Prison? No, I have no Deep Prison, it looks like. So I just take that. And end phase hit the back row, which ends up being a Decree. Interestingly, he's making main deck Decree, so that's a little bit annoying. But let's see why I did that. Okay, so that's such a shitty play. I think I searched out the Prodigy and I drew the other Prodigy. So at this point, I wish I had searched out Diva off of Sangan, but it is what it is. I have to summon the Mally, attack over the Trooper, and I get a draw in the end phase, which is nice. Luckily here I have Mirror Force. I wonder why I'm trying to save this. I don't know if I'm trying to save this Malicious or I just wanted to clear the Tragodia since it's at like, I think 24. My back row is a Solemn Judgment, and main phase 2, it looks like he's about to drop a Chaos Orc. So I have the Judgment here, and I need to save this Mally. I think I can't let it get banished. But unfortunately, he does drop, I think, Endrise. I think he has an Endrise after the Chaos Sorcerer, which is just like another thing you have to keep track of with this Chaos Fairy deck. Like, not only do you have to keep track of their fairy count, but you also have to keep track of their fiend count, because if they have 3 fairies and a fiend, then they can drop Endrise on you. And then you also have to keep track of what they've banished, because they're running a Dimensional Alchemist and can get things back from the banish. So if there's things like a Battle Fader or an Honest, you got to really keep track of that, right? So playing against a deck and like playing around these different things, I feel like you have to play in like 4D chess, and it's just taking a lot for me to get used to. So he ends up banishing the Malicious. I went hard and I paid half my life points for that, so I'm already sitting pretty low. Let's see what I do here. I think I might have lucked out with a... Oh, what happened here? Interesting. Oh, okay. I think I have Gores. That's what I have here. I was like, what? Why did I just pass? So I dropped the Gores. I'm forced to drop the Gores after the DD Warrior Lady. He's just going to clear the other token with the Endrise, but at least I still have a body on the field. And I think I might have gotten lucky with the top deck. I think I top deck a Diva right here, possibly, which is great because it makes my Miracle Fusion live. I was really kicking myself for not searching the Diva off the Sangan, especially after I top decked the second Prodigy. But we go Diva. Luckily we didn't draw the Gilman, so lucky, because Catastor is so good against the fairy deck. It puts in so much work. Not only are all the monsters light, but it also prevents them from dropping Honest, right? Because it's going to kill the monster before damage calc. So it's super, super important in this matchup. And I think what I have in my hand is a Stratos and Miracle Fusion. So I'm going to go for the Miracle Fusion. We got to take some risks when you're behind. And if he clears this, then with Torrential, then I still have Stratos. And he doesn't activate anything right here, which tells me he doesn't have Torrential, because he definitely would have Torrentialed right there. So that tells me that I'm safe to summon the Stratos and pop his back row in case it's a Battle Trap. And now I'm just thinking about the order to attack in. I'm playing around Honest since my life is pretty low. I can't attack into the Endrise because if he has Honest, then he's just going to automatically win. And I don't really want to go into the DD Warrior Lady with Ab-Zero because I want to keep this Ab-Zero. So what I end up doing is I just crash the token into the DD Warrior Lady. If he drops Honest, it's not going to be game. and then I attack the End Rise with the Catastor to prevent him from using Honest in case he has it. So now I'm in a very good spot. I got 3 cards to his soon-to-be 2 cards, and one of them is Ab-Zero. So, and I still have over 1,500 life points, so there's no way he could really OTK me from this position unless, I guess, he has a monster and Honest, which would be pretty bad. So he just sets 1 and passes. I know he's on main deck decree, so I'm not really afraid of his back row. Maybe I shouldn't attack with the Stratos because, again, if he top decks a monster and Honest, then he could just go for game if the monster has more than 1,400 attack, or 1,550 attack. But we decided to just go in there for some damage. Let's see what he's doing here. So he books the Catastor, that's interesting, but then he just ends up scooping it up. I guess he didn't have any ways to push. Okay, so we're going into game 2. What did I side in against his deck? I think I sided in like Soul Release. I might have put in DD Crow. I think I put in like Torrential and maybe Mirror Force to deal with like Christians. Oh, what am I talking about? Sorry. I was thinking about frogs. I main deck Torrential Mirror Force, silly me. I think I take a Bottomless because all of his guys are under 1,500 attack. All of the recruiters, Dimensional Alchemist, Card Trooper. So like Bottomless is not really that good. But I forget what I put in other than DD Crow and Soul Release. I might have put in, going second, I might have put in a Cyber Dragon. And I think I also put in Vanity's Fiend. So we hit over his Shining Angel with Sangan. He searches he recruits Dimensional Alchemist, which is so good. I have not really played too much against that card, but it's so good, especially once you start building up a banish pile, since Return from the Different Dimension is like the nuts in this deck, in the Chaos Fairy deck, or just any fairy deck. And then, okay, he hits like a Battle Fader, so if I destroy this Dimensional Alchemist, he's just gonna get this Battle Fader for free, which is so damn good. But luckily I have a really, I've got a pretty sacky hand, I think. I think I have Brain Control and Caius, so I can just steal the Alchemist and banish the Sangan. So I'm not really sure what I'm thinking about here, since that's kind of like the most obvious play. But maybe I was thinking about synchroing with the Diva. I'm not really sure. All I know is that like I don't want the Sangan to hit the grave, and I don't want the Alchemist to hit the grave, or be destroyed and hit the grave, because it has to be destroyed. So here I'm reading it to see what his effect is, and I need to double check that it needs to be destroyed inside of the grave, and you know, I can't even use this effect myself. I think I was also checking to see how that works. But anyway, so I just tribute it and hit the Sangan. Oh, I don't hit the Sangan because he has the Orange Light again. Okay, yeah, that's a really good play from him. Set 1 back row. I think the back row is Torrential, which comes in pretty clutch because he drops Christia right here. He has 4 fairies in the grave, which it always feels like they have 4 fairies in the grave. So I hit a nice Torrential. I think what's he gonna add back here? He might add back Alchemist so he can just summon that again. Yeah, that's pretty good. And Christia goes to top of deck, but he ends up searching, so it gets shuffled back into the deck, which is maybe why he just added back the Alchemist. Okay, so he ends up searching the other Honest. It didn't happen in this match, but oh my god, once you got like 2 Christias going with Dimensional Alchemist and Honest, and you could just keep looping those over and over, it's so hard to beat that. D-Alch doing work again. He banishes the Caius. Let's see what we got cooking here. So the thing is, like, normally Caius is just such an easy +1 and a no-brainer, but since they have Orange Light, it's such a good counter to Caius. I mean, you're paying 2 cards, but Caius is a +1, so I mean, it balances out. And I really need this Catastor to live, but he does have the Mirror Force, so that is not looking good for me. It's not looking good for me. If that Catastor actually went through, then this game would be a lot different, but unfortunately, it does not. So he gets in there for some damage. I drop the... I'm once again forced to drop this scores, otherwise it's going to be game. He clears a token. And now I'm like, this isn't the worst position to be in, to be honest. I think I also have a Miracle Fusion, so I think we can make an Ab-Zero here. And I'm not quite afraid of Honest yet, since there's one in the grave and one in his hand. So if I attack, it's not going to be game quite yet. He would need to have double Honest here. But let's see what we're thinking about. I see there's also a Diva in my hand. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that other than just pump up Ab-Zero, but he's at a full 8k life points, so there's that. Okay, so what do we do here? Am I searching for Armageddon, maybe? Or Stratos or Armageddon? I think Armageddon is not a bad play. Oh, I summoned Stratos. Interesting. Why did I summon Armageddon? If I summoned Armageddon, I could have dumped Plague and stacked the Diva and made Goyo, I guess, and then activate the Miracle Fusion. So I'm not exactly sure why I decided to go with this route. I could have also stolen the Card Trooper and milled with that, but yeah, I don't know. So we just go with this play, and I'm gonna say, okay, you're forced to activate this. I think I'm forcing him to activate this Honest right here to get rid of the Ab-Zero, which seems like it would be pretty good for me, because then his Card Trooper would die and he'd get a draw off of that. But he just takes them both, and I'm like, okay, why did you let this Ab-Zero live? And then I'm like, okay, because he's cooking. He wanted the 4 fairies in the grave because he has Christia. I should have just assumed that that was what was happening right there. So he summons a Christia, adds back the Honest, and then he's going to have 2 Honest and attack me for... He doesn't even need to use double Honest, to be honest. To be honest, he doesn't need to use double Honest, right? Like, he just needs 1 Honest right there because it's going to be 2800 damage. So that's game 2. You know, I had some pretty solid plays right there, but Honest and Christia just so damn good. Going into game 3, I'm going first. Love to see it. Here, I'm like, do I make Catastor or do I make Android? And I decide to not just leave a Catastor on and just go for Android, because I have a Wind Blast in my hand. So unless he makes an aggressive play, I'm just gonna keep gaining life with this Android. And I believe I also have a Diva in my hand. So I decide to set the Wind Blast. I have another Diva in my hand. So I set this Wind Blast, I believe, and pass it to him. And I'm like, if he plays passively, then I'm just gonna set him a turn back and bounce his card back with Wind Blast. But let's see what he does here. Okay, so we gained 600. Okay, so he does set 1 monster, and he only sets a monster. So I'm like, this is either a Raiko or a Battle Recruiter. It's more likely to be a Battle Recruiter. So I'm just going to stack this back on top of his deck. He didn't do anything else, so he's literally going to draw it again and have to do the exact same play. And all the while, I'll be gaining life points off of Magical Android. Here I'm just thinking about how aggressive I should go, since I don't have any ways to convert the Diva in my hand. But my thought process here is I'm going to summon this Diva, and then if it goes through, like he doesn't orange light it, then I'm going to bounce his card back to the top of his deck, and then attack in there with the Divas and the Android, gain some life points off of the Android. And I'm basically saying, okay, you can either redraw that Raiko and reset it, or if it was a Battle Recruiter, I can force you to basically summon it in attack position and clear one of the Divas, unless you want to just leave both of these Divas on the board. But I actually want him to do that because I have a Deep Prison in my hand. So I'm kind of trying to force his hand here. So that's exactly what he does. So he takes the damage. I gain another 600, so I'm sitting pretty healthy on life. And he draws the recruiter that he had just set, I believe. And he summons it, tries to attack in the Diva because he doesn't want to leave them both on the field, and walks right into the D prison. So now he's like multiple turns behind at this point. All the while I'm getting more and more life off of Android. He sets 2 back row all of a sudden, which I'm like, okay, these are bluffs for sure. Like, I don't believe you. Like, you're not setting any back row, and then all of a sudden you're setting 2 back row. Like, at least one of these is fake. So I don't respect your back row here. But let's see what I do. At this point, I think I drew into a Solemn Judgment, so I have an MST and Solemn Judgment in my hand. So I could set both of those, and then when I'm ready to go for a game push, have both of his back row, covered. So I just decide to not go too aggressively and wait till I set up my Solemn before I make a bigger push. And there's no reason for me to attack with these Divas for 400. I believe I did have a play in my hand, but I didn't want to make it before setting my Solemn. So I'm just getting so much life off of this Android. I'm up like, how much am I up? I can't see that. I'm up 1800 life, damn. That's like the most I've gained off of Android, which is crazy. He finally clears one of the Divas, but I'm like, I'm pretty up right here, and I've got MST and Solemn. I'm thinking about what to do here. I don't want to MST his back row in case he has his own MST and he chains it to pop my Solemn. I'd rather just wait till he activates like a Mirror Force or something like that and just negate that outright with Solemn. So again, I'm just like taking a pretty slow and methodical approach to this game. Just gain life points off of Android, force him to out my field, but I have the Solemn protecting it, and he's forced to just drop, or he decides to drop the Trag and just, let me run it over, which never feels that good. So I'm in a pretty commanding position right here, but, fairies. Okay, so right there, I end up soul releasing his one monster. You're always in a pretty good spot when you're not letting fairies stack up their graveyard, and I'm so ahead right now. I think it's fine to just soul release this one monster, because the last thing I want is for him to get a light in the graveyard and then be able to drop Chaos Sorcerer or something like that. So I would ideally like to wait till he has more cards in the grave before I soul release, but I'm so far ahead right here that I'm like, I'm just gonna set you even further behind and just not let you play this game. So he banishes the bonus card, the 5th card. He banishes my soul release just for fun, and he summons Cyber Valley and passes. So he's obviously on the defensive right here if you're just summoning Cyber Valley and passing. Now I could just bait out the Cyber Valley basically. Let's see what I do here though. I think I might just attack and bait out the Cyber Valley. Or maybe I go for a push, depending on what I drew. Nope, so I'm just going to bait it out. He gets a draw, but... Oh, I see. Main phase 2, I dropped the Vanity's Fiend. Okay, so that's hot. That is hot. And I have the Solemn, so he can't even Torrential right there. And basically, I'm saying... basically, I'm just like putting him on the clock right here, because... if he has recruiters, then I'm just gonna run them over and then he's not gonna be able to get them. So that ends up being that. Thanks for watching, guys.